migrated to a new platform. In addition, $100,000 is budgeted for homeless services, and will continue to establish a framework with the City of Fayetteville for providing these services jointly. In addition, $35,000 is recommended for a behavioral alliance position. This will fund half of the cost of that position. This position will be housed at our local Department of Social Services. The goal of this position will be centered around placement decisions for children. The goal will be to keep the family unit together. This position will secure assessments and also secure treatment to keep the family unit together. When that's not practical or a reality, this position will then secure residential options and also treatment options for reunification down the road. Finally, in the area of foster care, our Department of Social Services requested additional county funding in the amount of $433,000 based on the number of children in foster care. This funding has been set aside in a reserve account in general government other. And here's what we'd like to do, two things in concert with the Director of Social Services over the next year. First, we'd like to monitor the need for these additional dollars over the next fiscal year. Secondly, we'd like to work with the Director of Social Services in developing strategies to reduce the number of children in foster care. I believe that the initiative I just discussed, the $35,000, having a dedicated position may positively affect the number of children that we have in our foster care. The recommended budget includes funding in the amount of $1.4 million for community funding. Because of a lack of revenue growth, no new funding was recommended for any new agencies. $129,000 is recommended for our crime lab. As you may recall, this was originally funded through a grant, and that grant expired in May of this year. And finally, $25,000 has been recommended for startup costs for our new misdemeanor youth diversion program. The recommended budget includes $4.8 million to continue providing mental health services to our citizens. $2.4 million is allocated for services that are provided or coordinated by the Behavioral Alliance in Durham. And $2.4 million is allocated for services provided by Cape Fear Valley Health System. For fiscal year 2017, we recommend funding this $4.8 million from 3 different revenue sources. And I'd like to go through each one individually. Currently, the Behavioral Alliance is holding $4 million of prior unspent county dollars. We recommend utilizing $2,250,000 of this $4 million and allocate it for a portion of next year's appropriation. Now, I believe this is appropriate because it does agree with the provisions of our funding contract with the Alliance. The second source of funding is our mental health assigned fund balance. Since the merger with the Alliance several years ago, we have strategically drawn down that mental health fund balance and used it for these services. And we did that as a result of state concerns about high mental health fund balances statewide. At the time of the merger, our mental health fund balance exceeded $12 million. The recommendation next year is to only appropriate $1.8 million as that mental health fund balance is depleting. As it's depleting, we want to start phasing in a recurring funding source. For next year, we are recommending $750,000 of recurring funding. So this evening, we've talked about the revenue considerations, we've talked about expenditures, but I'd like to share a few thoughts about future considerations in the coming fiscal year. First of all, in the area of health insurance, there are 3 objectives I'd like to achieve in the coming year. First of all, I believe that we need to prepare for health savings account options for our employees for the fiscal year 2018 budget. In order to do that, we're going to need to work with employees over the next year and explain health savings account options and what the benefits are. Secondly, management will continue to diligently monitor our health insurance claims. We need to monitor those claims, especially after July 1st, to see the effect of the major plan design changes that go into effect July the 1st. And finally, our goal is to stabilize our health insurance fund so that we're not in a reactionary mode when our claims are volatile. Consolidation of services. Recently, there's been quite a bit of discussion about consolidating the city and the county 911 operations. One goal that I would recommend is that by next spring that we develop a grant request to send to the 911 board asking for funding for a consolidated center. In the area of jail health, I recommend that a request for proposal be developed and brought back for consideration by the Board of Commissioners in the July and August time period. I believe that we need to at least explore the feasibility of providing jail health services under a contractual sense. In conjunction with this, we will continue to seek cost-saving opportunities with the Affordable Care Act in the jail health program. The sales tax agreement. As you know, the sales tax agreement was renewed for an additional 3 years during this fiscal year, under the condition that discussions would begin no later than January of 2017. I recommend that in the August timeframe, we begin to develop that working group. The working group should consist of the county, the city of Fayetteville, and representatives of all of the municipalities in Cumberland County. The Public Safety Task Force. It's our recommendation this evening that we reactivate the Public Safety Task Force. As you know, this group was formed and they reviewed public safety issues and concerns over a period of about 2 years, and they actually made recommendations to the Board of Commissioners in about 2010. Many of those recommendations were implemented. I think it would be appropriate for that task force to be reactivated to review the recommendations that have been implemented and monitor the results of those new initiatives. In addition, they should follow up on any initiatives that haven't been implemented, and further, there's new issues that could be addressed. One in particular is low wealth funding in our fire district, in our 5 fire districts, specifically in the area of the Beaver Dam Fire District that includes the Turnbull community and a substation. And finally, revaluation that becomes effective in 2017. Management meets with the tax administrator monthly to review the progress with revaluation, and will continue to do that and remain engaged in the process. Secondly, planning is already underway to inform and educate the citizens about reevaluation in a timely manner. Third, I believe it would be appropriate to begin having the tax administrator give updates to the Finance Committee regularly, beginning at our August meeting. So we're reaching the end of this. I know it's been a little long. Bear with me for just a few more moments. I do want to share some closing thoughts about a term that I used earlier this evening, and new reality. I think that what we've shown you about our growth and our property tax and sales tax, we really are in a weak period of growth. For property tax and sales tax combined, we have about $2.5 million less available after the recession. I believe that we need to focus on financial sustainability and also focus on increasing the capacity for the most efficient service delivery in the environment that we're forced to operate in. I said earlier that progress has been made, and it has, despite a weak rebound after the recession. And I want to share a few specifics with you this evening. First of all, in the area of education. The funding agreement with the Board of Education was renewed in 2014. Let me remind you about 2014. On that blue and red chart comparing statewide and county taxable sales, you can see that 2014, we had a significant drop. We had a loss in sales tax funding during that year, in one of the most difficult financial years. This board stepped out and renewed that funding agreement. You have remained committed to that funding agreement. In the area of Fayetteville Technical Community College, this board has remained committed to current expense funding and capital funding as well. Last year, the Board of Commissioners also approved a long-term capital investment plan. You did that to place the board in a position of proactively maintaining and protecting our county facilities. Several years ago, the board approved a pay and classification study. That study was implemented over a 2-year period in 2013 and 14. In addition, last year, the Board of Commissioners also granted a 3% cost of living adjustment for our county employees. But most importantly, this board has remained very focused in providing investments in technology with the goal of improving customer service and efficiency. And in this year, this board stepped out and approved new positions in the middle of fiscal year 2016 for the food and nutrition program, and most specifically as a result of timeliness standards, federal government timeliness standards. This evening, I'd like to share those results. In November, before these positions were approved and put in place, our timeliness standard was at 78%. Most recently, our timeliness standard has reached 95% and above for a sustained period of time. First of all, I want to commend this Board of Commissioners for taking that kind of action, but I want to publicly commend Ms. Jackson, the Director of Social Services, and every employee at the Department of Social Services. They have been dedicated and worked a tremendous amount of overtime to achieve this timeliness standard. The result of not meeting this timeliness standard was the potential of losing federal dollars. All of these initiatives and many more have been achieved without a tax increase. So the county has survived the recession, and we will continue in the future to make progress. And I believe that progress will continue as we remain fiscally conservative, continue to honor our board-approved financial policies, implement the recommendation this evening about capital investment plan to provide for future capital initiatives in the future. and also to continue to support business intelligence, the model, and to support the recommendations from that team. This business intelligence model is our leading strategy for identifying operational efficiencies, for streamlining workflows, and improving customer service. And if we continue to do this, we'll create the innovative, high-performing organization that I believe this board is striving for. Here is a listing of our budget meeting schedule. We've done something a little bit differently this evening with the schedule. We've attempted to place on the schedule some suggested topics to guide the discussion and to provide you with the information necessary as you prepare the adopted budget. First of all, on May 31st, our first work session at 5:30, we'll review the departmental request, and we'll also receive a status of the CIP financing and the CIP projects. For Thursday's work session, June 2nd at 5:30, another suggested topic is in the area of economic development. I think it would be appropriate for the chairman of the new Economic Development Commission to give this board a very short and brief update on the activities of that new commission and to also discuss the budget request. In addition, that evening, we'd also like to provide an update on the solid waste management department. The following week, on Tuesday, June the 7th at 5:30, we'll hold an opportunity for department heads to appeal the recommended budget at 5:30 that evening. Monday, June 13th at 7 p.m. in this room, we'll hold a public hearing for the public for us to receive comments from the public on the recommended budget. And we also have a tentative work schedule planned for Thursday, June 16th at 8:30 a.m. if it's necessary. This has been another difficult budget to prepare because the requests significantly outweighed the available revenue. First of all, I want to thank all the department heads and their staff. They put a tremendous amount of time in developing their budget request and also their presentation to county management, as again this year we met with all county departments. I also want to acknowledge the challenges that our new budget division encountered beyond the revenue growth. First of all, we actually migrated to the new budget software in the middle of budget season, which was a challenge. They also trained the departmental staff on the new budget software right in the middle of the budget process, and they worked with multiple systems to prepare this recommended budget. And I'm going to embarrass them tonight, but I'm going to ask them to stand up. I'd like to recognize Deborah Shaw and Heather Harris.
Wow.
They did a tremendous job, and they put in a tremendous amount of overtime to prepare this recommended budget. But now you know it takes a village, so there's a couple other people I want to recognize. I want to recognize Melissa Cardinale. She supervised and provided guidance and leadership to our new budget division. I truly appreciate that. I also want to express appreciation to James Lawson, our Deputy County Manager, and Tracy Jackson, Assistant County Manager. They kind of helped pick up other areas when we were deeply involved in budget, and I truly appreciate that. I also want to express appreciation to the many, many staff members in county administration and county finance. They played a critical role in this process. And I also want to publicly recognize the print shop. And first, I need to apologize for the change last minute that I made after the budget was already printed. They were very patient, and they did an excellent job in preparing this budget document this evening. But finally, most importantly, I want to thank the Board of County Commissioners for your support and for allowing me to be the county manager of Cumberland County. I want you to know, countywide, We have employees that are truly committed to excellence and to the county's core values each and every day as they provide services to the citizens of Cumberland County, and I'm proud to be a part of that team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cannon. At this point, does anybody have any questions before we get on to, I assume we have?
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions, but Amy's done an excellent job of preparing and commending staff. But I can say this, that anybody that watched this presentation tonight, and I know all of us up here feel that way, that the whole entire group, and thank you for your leadership and what has gone on, and you deserve to be commended. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Again, we salute our management. We salute each and every person that had input into this, and probably some that weren't named, and but we know who they are, and we will continue to pursue this document. It's now our document. It's Ms. Cannon has been relieved of her responsibility on this project, so it's now ours, and we will take this up June the 2nd? Is that right?
May 31st.
May 31st.
Tuesday night.
Today's May 31st. Okay. So we've got more May left. Okay, so May 31st, we'll reconvene and take this project up again. Meantime, we'll have adequate opportunity to look it over, and of course, any questions that we have, we can get those answered before we come to the meeting, and then we'll be prepared to go to work. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Unanimous?
Meeting adjourned.